want to talk to the trusted adults in their lives about the issues that they're facing, even if these issues are difficult or awkward. I realized this several years ago when I taught the 15-year-old Sunday school class. I had a great group of kids who were very respectful and participated when I asked them questions and asked them to read scriptures. The only problem I had in the class is that I couldn't get them engaged and excited about the lesson. There was one lesson, though, that they were very engaged in and very excited about the lesson and had a great discussion. The lesson, ironically, was on the law of chastity. It started out, as most of these lessons do, with all of the kids staring awkwardly at their feet and shuffling them back and forth. I told them about the law of chastity, what it is, and why they should live it. And basically, I was giving them a lecture. Then I changed the mode of the lesson to be a conversation. They've been taught about the law of chastity since they were little, and so they know what they're not supposed to do. But the question that the youth have is they want to know what is appropriate and where the line is and what is okay for them to do. So I asked them this question, and then I turned the discussion over to them and let them discuss and figure out the answers for themselves. And they had a great discussion, so much so that they didn't even want to leave when it was time to leave the class. So the youth want to talk to their parents about these issues that they're facing. And today our youth are facing many confusing, difficult, and challenging issues. One of these issues is, what is the big deal about pornography? The big deal about pornography is the damaging effects of pornography. Pornography damages the brain, the family, and society. Pornography damages the brain because it acts very much like a drug. Just as with using cocaine and meth, when viewing pornography, the same chemicals reaction occurs in the brain. There's an excessive amount of dopamine that floods the brain. And the difference is that when you're viewing pornography compared to using drugs, that the effect is much more powerful. It's like a chemical bomb goes off in the brain. And in teens, studies have shown that their reward pathways, which is what causes the reaction that releases the dopamine, are 2 to 4 times greater and more powerful than those in the adult brain, which means that the brains of the teens, when they're viewing pornography, are being flooded with even more dopamine. Just as with meth and cocaine, pornography is addicting. When all this dopamine gets flooded into the brain tries to make the levels go back to normal. And so it will shrink the dopamine receptors. This results in the individual needing more dopamine to be released in order to feel normal. And so they will begin to crave more and more pornography. Elder Dallin H. Oaks said, it impairs decision-making capacities and it hooks its users, drawing them back obsessively for more and more. A man who had been addicted to pornography and to hard drugs wrote me this comparison. In my eyes, cocaine does not hold a candle to this. I have done both. Quitting even the hardest drugs was nothing compared to trying to quit pornography. Pornography physically changes the brain because it rewires the connections and those pathways, the neural pathways in the brain. In fightthenewdrug.org, they said it this way: the neurons that fire together wire together. And also, studies have shown that in the brains of those who are addicted, including those who are addicted to pornography, the frontal lobes of the brain shrink. Pornography is damaging to the family. For those who are involved in pornography, it is difficult for them to form meaningful relationships with real people. M.A. Layden, in Pornography and Violence, a paper that he wrote for a journal on the social ills of pornography, said healthy relationships are built on equality, honesty, respect, and love. But in porn, it is the reverse. Interactions are based on domination, disrespect, abuse, violence, and detachment. Viewing pornography results in a loss of the spirit. Dallin H. Oaks said, when we worthily partake of the sacrament, we are promised that we will always have his spirit to be with us. In order to qualify for that promise, we covenant that we will always remember him. Those who seek out and use pornography for sexual stimulation obviously violate that covenant. They also violate a sacred covenant to refrain from any unholy and impure practices. They cannot have the Lord's Spirit with them. I have personally seen the damage that pornography does to families. My sister was married to a really sharp return missionary in the temple. They have 4 beautiful daughters, and their dad was a really great dad. He was very involved with his kids and spent lots of time with them and played with them. And everything to him was awesome. Everything was an adventure. Even going to the grocery store was an adventure, and they were the cutest little family. But then he began to view pornography, and he got more and more involved with it and went to harder and harder pornography and spent more and more time viewing pornography. And it changed his personality. He became very abusive to my sister, and over the years it's increased, and to the point that she finally left him and divorced him. After she left him, her 2 older daughters told her that their dad had been sexually abusing them and that he had threatened to kill their mother if they told. The girls are all grown now. That was 12 years ago, and they have not seen him since divorce. But they all still have emotional and some health issues because of the abuse that they suffered because of their father's pornography addiction. Pornography damages the society. By objectifying women and by showing violence in the pornography sites, it makes this seem normal. And women, when they view this, they believe that this is the way relationships are meant to be, and so they accept that that is a normal part of a relationship. And 2 of the side effects of viewing pornography on the individual who views it are a lowering of material success and a change in beliefs, and both of these impact society. Now that you know how pornography damages the brain, damages the family, and damages society, you need to get involved, you need to get educated, and you need to talk to your children. 80% of first-time exposures occur in the home between the ages of 4 and 11. Pornography loses its allure when it is talked about openly. It thrives in secrecy. Some good resources to go to find information about pornography and how to talk to your children about it and to get educated on all of the problems with pornography and all of the things that it causes are the church's website, overcomingpornography.org, and they also have a manual, a family's guide, a parent's guide, and it helps you to know how to teach your children about healthy sexual relationships. The website fightthenewdrug.org is a great website. It talks about all of these different effects on the family, the brain, and society, and they have many little bars at the bottom of each of these that you can click on to show the references, and you can go to these different journals and websites and papers that have been written on it. If you're addicted to pornography, you need to get help. You cannot overcome this alone. You need to go to your bishop. You need to go through the repentance process, because that is the only way to overcome it. And through the atonement, you can overcome this and you can be free of this addiction. How many days does it take to overcome an addiction? It takes 2 years. Now that we know all of this damaging effect of pornography, we need to get involved and we need to warn others about the damaging effects of pornography.